Sometimes people are gonna judge growth. And some things are beautiful, some things are broken. Only difference is the one eye that's open. Perfect peace in the one's eyes in motion. Cause what you see now is the one time of hope and one time of love and one time of grace. Sometimes I'm with it and sometimes I ain't. Sometimes I'm strong at other times I'm faint. But the beauty in it all that there's no restraint. Word, cause you define that. Look hard enough then you could find that. It's hard work but you could grind that. Beautiful and broken you combine that. You define that. Look hard enough then you could find that. It's hard work but you could grind that. Beautiful and broken you combine that.
I'm beautiful and broken. Now I'm open. I am who I'm supposed to be. Finally, I know. You said I've changed because I have. I'm not the same. I'm beautiful, 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 beautiful.
I am.
I'm broken, broken into pieces.
Yeah.
Finally, I'm who I'm supposed to be. Finally, I'm the one I wanna be. Yeah, beautiful, broken. I'm beautiful, broken.
We live in a world where people of all ages and body types surround us. Some of them with the most beautiful smiles. Behind most of those smiles are stories you can't even imagine. You have support all around you, even from those people that you might not even know. My name is Brittany Mahan, and we all are beautiful broken.
Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday. My name is Brittany Mahan. I'm your host. Alongside me, as always, Doreen Silva. Doreen, every week I ask you how you're doing today.
Brittany, I am good. How are
I feel
you?
like this is how we have to start the show.
I know, it's like we already did that too when we see each other when we get here, but for the audience,
You
yes,
know, we
I'm
are both
good.
doing well. Have you noticed anything different about me?
I know. The hair is obviously different.
Thank you. Thank you. We darkened it up a little bit over here, people. Hold on. I got to fix this. What am I? Hold on. You see the little...
There you go.
Okay, hold on. Thank you. Thank you. Whatever. We're gonna. Did I do it again? I might have done it again. Okay, we're good.
It's all good.
We're all good. So, this show is honestly super exciting for me because it is my first sport industry friend. So Bob and me, I'll let him explain our story because I kind of forget how we met. I know he was shooting, and we just
Shooting where?
at either probably TD Garden because I started with the Bruins.
Okay.
And then he does that also. He's everywhere. He's Bruins, he's Red Sox, he's Pats, he's Celtics. So it really gets exciting because when I was working in the sport industry, I really didn't know anybody except like a couple people right off the bat, obviously, because I was brand new. But I would always get so excited to see him because it was a familiar face. You know what I mean? There's like thousands of people.
So you always, no matter where you go, when you don't know anybody, you always look for the familiar face.
Right. And he was so friendly and so nice and super. His photos are amazing. Don't let him tell you otherwise. He's very, very, very talented. He's shot Tom Brady, Kyrie Irving, all the Bruins players, and it was just kind of cool because when I was running the social media for Nesson, I definitely took the tools and the skills that he kind of taught me, and I definitely incorporated it into the photos that I took of the players also.
Oh, okay. So you took photos also?
Yeah, when I was right before COVID hit, I was actually running Nesson's social media for a little bit.
Oh, okay.
And I was responsible for posting their stories and all that stuff. So I kind of ran around the park taking photos, and that's where I learned my angles and how close you want to be. And me and Bob were talking earlier, and he was kind of talking about how sometimes you just get really lucky when you take a photo because you're in the right position and you're in the right place at the right time. And definitely some of my photos were because of that. So
it's awesome. No, it's good to like learn from somebody always.
I mean, I think that's what makes life so special is that if you have somebody doing something that you want to do, ask them how they got there. Ask them what they did.
Yes.
Ask them how you can kind of follow in their footsteps. And the best, what is the phrase? There's a phrase that says like the best form of flattery is when someone copies you.
Yes. I think that's pretty much the quote.
Yeah, that's a quote. I mean, honestly, I'm going to be real with everyone out there. Beautiful Broken is a copy of everything I've learned in the sport industry.
No, and that's how else would you have done it if you didn't learn everything you knew?
Right. I mean, from the angles, from the conversations, from, the people that I want to bring on my show. It's through getting in the sport industry and having the sport industry be $1 billion company. There's so many stories that I learned and that I got to know, and the adversity that people had to face in order to make it into such a competitive industry was incredible. And I don't even think they knew they were inspiring me at the moment when they were inspiring me, but
That's what I think it's all about, is inspiration and people being inspired by other people. And then that's when you're inspired, what else are you kind of gonna do? You kind of have to copy somebody.
Right. And obviously, NESN, ESPN, all those sports teams or all those sports networks that I worked for, they film and they shoot for millions of viewers. So why would I not take what I learned from them and put it into my own business?
Of course.
Hopefully the goal one day is to hit millions of viewers. So here we are with all of you fine people at home watching us right now.
We'll get there.
I'm like running. You guys are like, doo, doo, doo. So what is a dream that you had when you were a little kid?
Me? Everything for me, I've always wanted to help people, and that's always something that's why I ended up being a massage therapist, because everything is about helping people for me. And I used to say when I was younger, I want to be a nurse, because I had a nurse named Doreen, and I was always saying, I'm gonna be Doreen the nurse, just like my nurse, and she's so nice and she helps everybody. And I never became a nurse, obviously, but I always still thought about being a nurse. I knew a nurse wasn't really for me, and still any form of massage is still helping people.
Yeah.
But it's funny because, I remember when I was younger, I definitely wanted to be a photographer, but this is back in the day. We had disposable cameras.
She's talking about the Kodak.
No, not those little click, then you had to turn, click. And I would take pictures everywhere I went, and you had to go develop your cameras at CVS then, or Walgreens, and pay for your pictures. And
oh my gosh,
there's somewhere
you had the Polaroids, right?
No, I didn't even have a Polaroid. If you had a Polaroid, then you were so cool. I mean, and even now, Polaroids are coming back.
They're coming back. Honestly, I really, really think that song, "Hey Yeah," oh, you know what I'm talking about? I really swear. What is that song called?
Like a Polaroid picture.
I swear.
I was trying to think of what you were saying for a second. I was like, "Hey, yeah," and I'm singing in my head.
I swear that's why Polaroid pictures are so cool, though.
No, honestly, really, because then the thing with the Polaroid picture, you took the picture, you instantly got that picture right there and then, compared to having to get the picture developed and you waited hours. And sometimes you get the picture developed and it would be your thumb in front of the picture. And you're like, why did I wait a week for this picture?
I'm curious to hear Bob's story on how he got started, because he's obviously older than us.
Yeah.
So he knows, the first.
Oh, yeah.
The start of it all.
Even I don't know if he develops some pictures, so I'm curious to. Okay.
Some people do.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it's. I mean, it's interesting to find out the world of photographer, because when you're younger, and I think a lot of people always, can be inspired by photographers, because you see the picture and you always wonder, where did that picture come from? Who took that picture? And I think it's pretty fascinating.
It's awesome, especially when you know the photographers. You're like, that's my man. Look at that photo. It's just to put a person's face to a photo and then know them personally. I don't think there's anything better than that.
Yeah,
because it just
really
makes
cool.
it more. It makes it funner.
Yeah, because then you can say, I know who took that picture.
Yeah, and, they know my first name too. We're on first name basis.
That is cool.
But all right, guys, we're gonna go to commercial break, and when we come back, we are gonna talk with Bob all about his journey into the sport industry.
What to expect when you're expecting a teenager.
Hey guys, today we're talking about how to wake up your teen, and this works literally every time.
kisses. Give kisses. Look. Give kisses. Give kisses. You heard how loud that was.
I know, I
through that.
heard. It wasn't you.
Yeah.
It was the...
Is that bacon?
You don't have to know it all to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Bacon.
STEM is the discipline of hard numbers, precise, no margin for error.
Dare to forget that. Dare to have fun with it. Get weird with it. Dare to get messy or just mess it up. Dare to program something internet breaking, record breaking. Dare to blow their minds. Dare to try. Dare to fail. Dare to keep daring. Dare to learn the difference between organic, sedimentary, and non-foliated metamorphic rock. Get outside, find those rocks. Dare to be homeroom famous, a high school fable. Dare to send those old STEM theories flying past the neighbor's house into outer space. And for the love of STEM, dare bigger. Dare to code, dare to invent, dare to explore, dare to STEM. Check out She Can STEM to get started.
What do you think you're doing, Kevin?
Was just gonna drive home.
There are several warning signs present that you shouldn't be driving.
Like hearing voices?
Like your text-to-emoji ratio?
Oh man, the selfies. Selfie, nailed it.
We all have warning signs that let us know that we're probably not okay to drive. Mine is pretending to be your subconscious.
Craig, come on man, let's put a ride home.
Welcome back, everyone. This is my friend Bob DeChiara. Did I just butcher that?
DeChiara.
DeChiara, Bob DeChiara, everybody.
You're not the
Doreen.
first.
I practiced it before we went on air, though. I'm pretty mad at myself for that.
Right. I think you actually said it right earlier, too.
I did. Bob DeChiari.
DeChiara.
DeChiara.
Now it's even getting worse.
No, DeChiara. Here we go. We got it. Okay, everyone. So, Bob, you've been working in the photography industry for how long now?
Professionally since 2011, right after the Bruins won the Cup.
Awesome. Is that kind of what inspired you to kind of start, or how was that?
No, actually, how I started was. You want to hear the story?
I absolutely do.
Okay, so my background is graphic design.
Okay.
I've been a graphic designer for hundreds of years. Oh, so it seems. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the people that I follow in the graphic design industry were also photographers. Mm. And I thought to myself, maybe this is something that I need to get into. You know, I'm reading their blogs and they're all talking about photography. And so the company that I was working for at the time, we all got a bonus check that Christmas. So I took my money and went to Ritz Camera and knew nothing about photography and ended up buying a Nikon. And it pretty much started from there. I started shooting my son's Little League baseball games. I started shooting everything, any flowers and cars and whatever I could get in front of me, I shot. I bought books, so I'm pretty much self-taught. I was just going through books. I would read blogs. I would go on YouTube and just learn. Mm-hmm. So when I started shooting my son's Little League baseball games, I would shoot the games and then I would post them on a website. So I had a web design background as well. So I'd shoot the games and post all the pictures on the website, and the parents were just like, oh my God, this is great. This is awesome. So I did that for a couple of years, and I'm like, maybe I can make some money doing this. Mm-hmm. So I started shooting high school sports for a company called Max Preps, and I did that for a couple of years. And, you would shoot the game, you would post them online and hope that, you would make some sales. Mm-hmm. So I did that for a couple years, and then I met some people. One individual in particular who I'm good friends with him today, and I was talking to him on the phone once, and he showed me his website, and I looked at his website and saw some Patriots pictures, and I said, "Oh, how did you get those?" And he's like, "Oh, I shoot for a small wire service," and I said, give me their name. And, you know, I sent them an email and I started working for them, but they were limited on what kind of access they had.
Right.
So I was shooting Manchester Monarchs games in Manchester, you know, AHL. So, you know, it was good because you got to start somewhere. You know, you can't just start, you know, shooting NHL and NBA games.
Right.
So I did that for a couple years and, you know, met people and just learned. And, you know, when I thought I was good enough to, you know, take it to the next level, you know, I sent emails out to Getty and Associated Press and USA Today Sports, which used to be US Press Wire. And this was during the Bruins Stanley Cup run in 2011. And, you know, US Press Wire answered me back and said, you know, we'd like to see a portfolio of images. And so I sent them stuff and signed a contract with them shortly thereafter and been with them ever
Wow.
since. So.
Where did the confidence come in? Because you were an amateur, then you did practice.
Because I was just shooting everything, and you know, I look at my baseball stuff from the, you know, when my son was in Little League and just look at it and say, oh my God, this is so bad. But you got to start somewhere. So, you know, I was shooting tons of high school stuff and some college stuff and semi-pro stuff. So after doing that for like 3 or 4 years, you know, I felt, you know, I shot the Bean Pot back then too. And you know, I felt comfortable with what I had for a portfolio. So,
awesome.
You know, and that's how it all started.
Well, I think probably when people start buying your stuff is when the confidence comes too, right?
Maybe. It's not so much that. It's just, you know, knowing what makes a good picture. And I'm still learning. I pick people's brains every day.
I love that you're saying you're still learning and you just said you've been doing it for 9 years.
I think we all are. I mean, I think any photographer will admit that they're still learning.
That's awesome. Because, you know, I think no matter what, whatever it is, there's always still
especially
so much to learn.
in photography. There's always so much to learn.
That's cool. So I'm kind of curious, like about sports. What's your favorite?
So I've always been a hockey guy, and you know, I grew up watching the Bruins ever since I was a little kid. So it took me a while when I started shooting Bruins games not to get caught up in the game. You know, I'd have
like, go.
I'd have my camera by my side and I'm watching the play. So it took me a while to get used to, you know, actually having to work the game and not getting too involved in the game. Hockey has always been my favorite sport.
Okay.
So it's, you know, it's a fast moving sport to shoot. You gotta, you know.
Are you on? You're right up against
Ice
the glass,
level.
right? And then there's a hole in the glass, and you
yes,
just put your little camera. It's so wild.
It's
wild.
You have to be, you know, cautious of the puck coming around, and I'm always watching the puck. I mean, guys will have their camera, maybe the goalie, while the play is at the blue line. Somebody slaps the puck around and hits your lens, and I've seen it happen.
Oh,
it has happened. Oh yeah,
man.
It happens all the time.
Well,
there's
you
this
could get a probably
little
cool
tiny
shot at the same time if you're.
Yeah, when your lens is blowing up into a million pieces.
He's like, right before it hit me. You should have seen the shot, though.
Well, I was working a game a couple years ago, and my buddy who was to the left of me, that happened to him.
Oh.
And the lens filter was all over the ice in thousands of pieces, and we're banging on the glass trying to get the ref's attention.
Oh man!
To like stop the action because there were so many pieces of glass.
Yeah, that could have been dangerous.
Yeah, exactly. And we're pounding on the glass.
I mean, the glass is like super thick though, so nobody.
Yeah, nobody. They're like, what are these guys doing?
I know. They're like, stop yelling at us. We're trying to do the game. What happened? Did someone come over and
the
see
ref
it?
eventually stopped? You know, I think it was a whistle, and we got his attention, and he came over, and they scraped everything up.
No,
I imagine that stuff's very expensive.
It is. You know, I've sent every time you send a lens in, it's $400 right off the bat.
Oh man!
Now you have like 5 different cameras around your neck at all times, right?
No, for hockey, just 2.
Okay.
Football, sometimes 3, but you know, it hurts.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen young kids and they have like 5 cameras and they're just like whipping out all different ones.
Is that because each one is different for each angle?
Exactly. Usually you have a long lens for play down the other end of the court, ice or whatever, and maybe a wide angle.
Okay, that's cool.
So tell us about the sport industry during COVID. How has that been?
It's been different. I mean, my first sport was baseball.
How was that?
Back at Fenway. It was good and bad. I mean, there was no traffic, so getting into Fenway was pretty easy, and getting home was pretty easy.
That's
So
nice.
that was fun. It was different because there were no fans.
Oh,
Yeah, that must make
How
it
did
so
you-
hard.
it was my first.
It was weird because they would pipe in the crowd noise.
Yeah.
So you're sitting in a stadium that is totally empty, and then you hear the crowd noise and the speakers, and it was different.
Yeah. What about the fake billboards?
The fake cutouts?
Yeah. Did they freak you out, or were they kind of cool to have?
No, it was kind of different. I mean, seeing them all up in the Green Monster was kind of funny.
I mean, that's probably a good picture to get too, though. At the same, because I mean, people don't realize, or you're seeing it from that view, but people aren't.
I had a
really
friend
seeing
ask me that. I think he had a friend that had a cutout, and he's like, can you get a picture of me for me? And I didn't know who it was, so I just shot every
You did?
section of the Green Monster, and I'm like, all right, here's 5 pitches. Your friend must be in one of them.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, Garen Austin, you know me and her are close, and
yeah.
she had like 3 different cutouts all
she
over the
had
arena.
cutouts, yeah.
So that's fun.
Of her?
Of her, yeah.
Oh, that's
literally her.
Well, I had a really cool picture, and I probably should have showed this. It was a picture of Tim Wakefield that was out in the outfield, and it was just him. So it had, there were hundreds of empty red seats, and just
And just him.
this little picture of Tim Wakefield. It was kind of a cool shot
Oh, that's awesome.
because
Yeah.
it was so different.
Is it on your page? Can people go look at it?
No, it's buried in my Facebook
Oh, okay.
or Instagram.
If you'll send it to me, I'll tag it.
Yeah,
in the post, and you guys can check it out.
I'll take it out.
Okay. So what was one of the challenges though facing the sport industry with COVID?
Trying to get good angles because
Really?
we're so far. I mean, for baseball, we're right on the field. We're right in the third. We're right in the pits, first base, third base. So now, our access is for baseball. It was 8 or 9 rows from the field. So the challenge is just trying to get a good angle
Got
because
it.
you're so far away from the play now.
Right. And so how was football? How was the different? I know you shot a couple Pats games.
Football. I think football was a little easier than baseball.
Were they more like calm? Like, were you able to shoot in your normal shooting areas? I guess.
Well, normal shooting areas were on the field, so we're in the stands. So,
so even for football, you're in the stands.
Yeah, so it wasn't too bad. For USA Today, we have access front row and pretty much anywhere in the stadium. Front row can be a little difficult because you're at a point where if you're shooting across the field, you have the players on the bench and they're all in the way. So you kind of have to move up in the stands and shoot above them.
Wow.
So does football have no fans either?
Football here, no.
No.
I know some stadiums do.
Some stadiums do. Gillette, no fans.
Of course not.
So basketball's next up, so it'll be a challenge. It'll be interesting to see what our role is for
Is
basketball.
TD Garden opening up for?
Yeah.
Okay, so they're bringing it back here. I mean, they were in Florida for so long.
Yeah.
That's
December,
nice.
the week of Christmas or the
I
week
know, and you
before
are
Christmas.
working on Christmas, right?
I'm
this
working
year?
Christmas Day.
Oh.
Yeah.
We worked together 2 Christmases ago, and we won that game, which was awesome.
Yeah, I think that was the Kyrie.
Yeah, he played
Yeah.
good. He had a good
Yeah.
Christmas game. That's so. For anybody out there who kind of is wondering, I know you briefly mentioned your journey into the sport industry, but the struggles that you had to go, building your confidence, reaching out to people. What advice would you give for people watching that kind of want to follow in your footsteps?
Well, I think if people want to get in the sports industry, you got to start somewhere. And for me, it was like, so my son played high school football. So I did a lot of high school football games just to get experience. And when I started to learn portrait lighting and wanted to shoot portraits, I reached out to the coaches of the football team. I said, hey, can I, take portraits of the kids? So I did that for like 4 years. And I remember my first shoot, I was so nervous because I just wanted everything to come out perfect. And after doing it, 20, 30, 40 times, now it's just like, I set up all my lights and do this and do that. And, here we go. We just shoot and things typically, come out pretty good. And so I developed my confidence that way just by doing it over and over and over. But if a kid wants to, somebody that's interested in getting into sports photography, start at the high school level. Get your experience, shoot games, then maybe move to the college level. And, and you get in touch with coaches or, sports directors at colleges and say, hey, can I shoot the game?
I love that. That's all I did, too.
I was going to say, that reminds me of you, Brittany, because that's what you did when you were in Bridgewater State.
Yeah. I just reached out to people constantly in the role that I wanted. And then
I think when you get good enough, people will come out to you. I remember, so after shooting, I don't know how many portraits of the high school athletes. I did football, I did hockey, lacrosse. So I had a ton of experience behind me, and I was confident enough. And I remember, I was asked to do 2 years before the Super Bowl a shoot with the New England Patriots. And, naturally I was nervous because, all right, these are pro athletes. I don't want to screw everything up. But, I had my friend that helped me out, and we, I thought we did a really good job.
You did. I remember seeing those photos.
And then we did another shoot beginning of last season.
Oh, that's awesome. It's crazy because I remember the way it usually works is they're on the field and they're so close into the action. So I can't imagine being that far away from you. Like having to be that far away. How do you get the shots?
Do you ever get to talk to the players, like how they feel
about
it?
You know what? About
like COVID, how everything is now.
No, I mean, we weren't even close to the players for baseball. No,
oh my god,
that's the
because
whole
I can't
thing
even imagine for them like having no fans. Like
it's almost like it must be a triggering point for them. Because think about it, when you're a kid, who goes to a baseball game when you're like a young kid? Maybe
parents.
Just your parents, and that's about it. You don't have that many. So to be a professional baseball player, have millions of fans, and like that's the moment you've been looking for.
It's got to be hard. I mean,
now
especially
nobody's there.
For hockey too, and like the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Oh my gosh!
I mean, you've been to games in the Garden. It's so loud,
wild.
and then to
No, so
play in front of nobody.
Is it silent? Is it like? I don't know.
I know. I did soccer a couple weeks ago, and you could actually hear the players in the field talk. So
wow,
that's how quiet it was. When you can hear the players talking to each other.
That is wild.
That must be a weird feeling, especially for how you're used to it being.
Because the place is so quiet, and for soccer, they don't really play music between like stoppages and play and whatnot. So it's just really quiet.
Oh,
so yeah, it's definitely weird. And it'll be interesting for basketball to see what happens there and where we're going to be situated in terms of shooting.
Right. Did they say anything about what the future looks like? I know basketball's like completely different, but...
in terms of...
Just, obviously, you've already done baseball, so is baseball going to reopen?
I mean, from what I hear, baseball, I think training camp is going to be pushed back. I think... There'll be some fans at Fenway, but it won't be capacity.
Okay.
It'll be 20-30% or something like that.
Got it. Okay. So there's hope in the future, though.
And I think basketball might be the same way. They might start off with no fans, but I think, depending upon what happens with COVID.
Right. Man, this whole thing is just flipping our world upside down.
There is a question for you, too.
For me?
Have you met any of the big names of people that you photographed?
One that will always stand out is Brady. I always say I have my Tom Brady moment. So last year during preseason, a lot of times photographers will shoot players on the bench, and I think Brady had come out of the game, and he was sitting on the bench, and there was me and a couple of other photographers taking pictures of him. And he was looking at us, and he was like interacting with us, and I'm just firing away, and I got this really cool picture of Brady looking right at me. So when we had the photo shoot at Gillette, me and my buddy were waiting for the players to come in, and so they started filing in, and they started putting their uniforms on, and I look out in the hallway, and Brady is walking by. I think he's going to the trainer's room, and I hate to say this, but I bolted out there.
He's like, Brady!
Mr. Fanboy. I mean, it's Tom Brady. Come on.
I'm going to tell you my story of me and Tom Brady after.
So I ran up to him and said, hey, Tom, I said, you probably don't remember, but a couple weeks ago against the Giants, I was with some photographer buddies, and we were shooting you, and I got this really cool picture, and I'm thumbing through my phone. And he could have just said, bro, I got to go to the trainer's room.
Right.
But he was really cool as I was scrolling through my phone, and I said, here's the picture I made. He's like, oh, that's really neat. And I said, good luck this year. And he was
really
cool.
nice.
I mean, and he walked away, and I'm like,
Did you end up like sliding into his DMs and send it to
no,
him?
no. So it was funny. So when I came back to where we were shooting, my buddy was saying all the players were calling me fanboy.
Oh,
was that why you said fanboy?
Because I left like a streak of fire when But I'm like, it's Tom Brady. Come on,
100%. I worked a Pats game one time, and Tom Brady walked by me on the field, and I was like, because he's so big. First off, I was not expecting him to be as tall as he was, and he's like kind of skinny though. You know what I mean?
But I've never I've talked to the Bruins, and we see them. You know how they come in their intros and stuff, and I'm not giddy for any of the other players.
Now, why?
But this is Tom Brady, the greatest quarterback of all time,
right. But Bruins were your favorite sport growing up, so you didn't have any of the.
No, I mean. Bobby Orr.
Oh yeah, look at this photo. Hold on, go back to that photo because that is literally like the camera hole we were talking about. That is literally the little camera hole.
And I did see the Tom Brady one flash too.
Oh yeah, we can show that
if
one.
He has that one.
Is this the one you were talking about that you showed him?
No.
Okay.
This is.
This is amazing. Like, look at this photo. Are you kidding me? Like.
But you know what? There's a line of photographers. There's probably 20 of us waiting for him to come out, and we all got the same picture.
You think?
I know.
You've seen him.
You see him?
I've seen him.
Oh, okay, man, that's
it's
wild
like,
to me.
I probably should have got this picture.
I haven't taken that photo.
So, Stanley Cup Finals, Game 1, when Torrey Krug, I don't know if you were at that game, hit the other guy from the Blues, and he started up from his own end of the ice. There was a scuffle in front of Tuukka, and Torrey Krug and this other guy are battling, and guy gets up and skates to the other end of the ice, and Krug, he made a beeline. He was going to just nail somebody. So I was shooting from 6'4". It's funny because we all got that same shot. It was him just taking out somebody, and I was up in 641 right above the TV cameras.
He got pulled right after that, right?
No,
we didn't get pulled for that. Oh,
no,
okay.
And there was like 7 of us there. And we all got the same shot.
I thought about that when you first said hockey. I immediately thought of how many fights you must get on camera.
You know what? Getting a good fight picture is difficult.
Because they're all swinging real quick.
I've got maybe a couple of good ones, but you think you would get more. I mean, for me, it's just me.
To be completely honest, I think the way they play hockey nowadays, they don't really try to have them fight like they used to.
Well, yeah, they certainly don't fight like the old days.
Right. Yeah. The old days, they're like blood for hours.
But as a photographer, you want to fight that's maybe 10 feet in front of you. If there's a fight down the other end of the ice, it's tough because, you might get a ref in the way or whatever, or a player will skate in front of you. But if there's a fight right in front of you, it's pretty good.
Would you say it's like competitive with you and the other photographers? Or are you guys close?
Competitive? Yeah, I think it's always competitive.
Because you guys all lined up.
You always want to get the good picture.
Yeah.
And
it must be. I mean, I feel like I would have to like. I want to get the.
Well,
I'd be like, I would like trip them as the action was happening.
Well, see, the thing of it is too is like in football, you don't always want to be all right. So if there's 9 photographers in the end zone, you always kind of like if I don't want to be the 10th photographer because we're all going to get the same picture. You want to kind of go to a spot where nobody's at. That way you can get something totally different because these 10 guys or these 9 guys are going to get the same touchdown picture.
I didn't even think about that. I really don't because you're in different, even though you're all lined up. I mean, I'm thinking because you're all lined up, you won't get the same shot because it's different angles.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a challenge too because you definitely want to be at an angle where you're going to get a good picture. And that's why all those guys are in that spot because that's the spot to be in. But, I mean, you could always move away 10 feet or so and just get a different angle.
Right. Now, how's the workout? Are you running up and down?
Oh, football's awful.
Sweating.
Especially if there's an interception or something and you make your way all the way down the end zone and then you have to go all the way back and then you have to worry. You got to watch out for people on the sidelines and tripping over wires. And
you said you have a camera around your neck too, right?
So that's gotta usually around my shoulder. So
that's gotta weigh you down a little.
It does. That's why I try not to bring 3.
Yeah. My gosh, I couldn't even imagine.
And sometimes too, if I have a belt with other things in it, another lens of water or something. It's just like, holy smokes.
What is your average, I don't know what to call it, but like your fanny pack of photography? Like what do you have on your hips and your neck?
Well, each sport's different.
Okay.
For hockey, it's a 70-200 and usually a fisheye. That picture of Brad Marchand was a fisheye.
Oh, cool.
So that's pretty light. For basketball, it's 70-200 and maybe a 14-24. So 2. Football or baseball, it's a long one.
What was...
That was Christmas Kyrie.
Yeah, that was awesome. Look at him. Such a good. It's the clear, crisp.
So that shot was funny because he was actually facing the other way. I think he made a 3-pointer to tie the game or put them ahead, and he was facing the other way. And I know he was jubing, and I'm like, please turn around, and he did, and I just went fired. and then you hope you get one in focus. That's the challenge.
Oh man, you ever look at your camera afterwards and not have one in focus?
Oh, plenty of times.
That's a bummer.
I think everybody has that issue.
It's the thumb in front of the camera. Yep. When you get it developed, you're like, this was the best photo. My thumb.
Oh, man. Now, you have your phone and you can instantly see if your
Well, it's same with digital. We're always looking at the back.
Right. So how did you then transition into portrait? You do models now, right? And like...
Some, I've always, Joe McNally was a person that I admired growing up, and his work is just phenomenal. And I have a really quick story that I have to share about Joe McNally. But so I bought a bunch of his books. I saw him at Photoshop World, and I just admired his work. And the man is fearless. He climbed to the top of the Empire State Building and photographed construction worker changing a light bulb or whatever.
He's not the photographer that held that girl's hand out of the building.
Out of the helicopter?
Yeah.
I think so.
He held a model's hand and then took a photo of her. And
he's phenomenal.
I actually think
he's fearless, and there's a photo of him too. I think in Dubai, standing on the ledge of like the tallest building. He has no fear.
So you met him?
So no, I actually used to work with his sister.
Oh, okay.
So a company that I used to work for, and I had been there like a year and a half, and found out that I worked with Joe McNally's sister.
Oh.
And it was funny because I was just talking to a coworker and we were talking about photography. And Joe had just recently, I think it was after the marathon bombings, had come into Boston and did a Sports Illustrated cover of David Ortiz, a Boston cop, and somebody else. And I was talking to a coworker, and we were talking about, I forget the conversation, but it turned out that Joe McNally's sister worked for the company, and I almost like started crying when I'm like, holy, I'm like, he's my idol. So when his sister's name is Rosemary, so when she came in the next day, I remember going up to her and I said, oh, hey, Rosemary, I said, you know who my favorite photographer is? And she's like, my brother. And I'm like, yes. I'm like, I can't believe I work with Joe. And the funny thing is I was going to a seminar the following week. Joe was teaching in Boston. And I hadn't signed up yet. So me and Joe were friends on Facebook, but I didn't really know him. So I sent him a message. I said, hey, Joe, I'm coming to your seminar next week. Oh, by the way, I work with your sister, Rosemary. And he's like, Bob, that's great. Rosemary's awesome. I'll save you a couple of seats up front. And it was...
How was the seminar?
So cool.
It was good.
Yeah.
It was good.
Did he do anything wild or crazy?
No,
Show his fearless side?
No, I think he pulled me and a couple of friends up on stage and did like a group photo of something. But he's the most humble photographer too, because he'll tell you like when he's always making bad pictures and whatnot and he's the best. He's awesome.
How many bad photos do you think for one good photo?
For me, millions.
Well, it's almost, I could say, Brittany,
thousands,
when you take a
hundreds.
selfie, how many do you take?
I'm not going to lie, I'm a one and done.
Oh, good. Are you really?
I really do, though. I'm not going to lie, because when you're in the industry, the number one thing that they don't want to hire you for is if you can't do it in a short amount of reps.
That's so funny, because when I take a selfie, I'll take like 5 or 6, and I always like the first one I took, and I'm like, why did I keep thinking I had to take
Brian
another
Brennan.
one?
Yeah.
Is he not the selfie?
Oh my gosh.
He takes the best selfie. He's unbelievable.
And now he's a dad. Can you believe that? Good for him.
And he's and I think that's how I met him. Is
Did you jump in one of his selfies?
No, just by seeing all his selfies, and then I think I approached him at Fenway, and we just got to be really good friends.
He's one of
But he's phenomenal.
Brian Brennan is.
He used to work for Nesson. He used to be.
Was he
He was a camera guy.
Yeah,
for
he was a
Nesson.
camera guy for Nesson, and then he kind of quit. He did freelance for a little bit. Now he's a dad, married.
Yeah.
He's one of the funniest guys.
He's
so
his
funny.
content, whether it's video or
It's
a
just
selfie,
hilarious.
is the best.
His whole thing
he's
is like no matter
unbelievable.
where he goes, he's just like
He knows
in
how to rock
every
it.
single.
He's Brian. This is a plug for you, buddy.
I bring him on the show next.
Oh, he's the best. He just. And I probably take the worst selfies.
Just no.
Really?
Really?
I hate. Oh, it's awful. You know how many times I had to take a selfie for the headshot there? And
It came out so good.
Oh my God, it's horrible.
He's like, oh, I can't get any better than this. I was like, this is like gold. I don't understand
Well,
what
it's
he's
funny
talking
because
about.
my buddy who's helped me out on a bunch of my shoots, like the Patriots and whatnot, we've done probably 3 sessions for headshot, and I can't. And every time I look at them, I'm like, these are horrible. I'm like, no offense to you, but I
really don't think it came
It's
out
funny.
bad at
No, it
all.
wasn't bad.
It wasn't bad at all. You look so friendly. I would approach you anywhere.
Well, that's how we met.
I know. Wait, do you remember the story?
I don't remember the story, but it's probably just from seeing you all the time there. And
100%. And I
you know,
definitely was
Brittany,
saying
I was saying, Brittany will talk.
I'll talk to anybody too, and that's how you meet people in the industry.
100%.
You just talk, and everybody. 99.9% of the people that I've met have always been really, really good. I don't think I can't remember anybody that.
No, I mean I've
approached
met some
that.
negative Nancys, but that's just. I think you definitely have a few of those in every.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
I don't know. You're the photographer. The
Photographers
never,
are great.
Yeah, they're the nicest, kindest.
I remember
cameramen are a little.
my first
Cameramen.
my first Red Sox game. I was so nervous. Like, all right, so I'm
mine too, though. To be honest,
I'm the new guy, and like I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And where I'm going and what to do. And I think my second game was when the Bruins came out at Fenway in the duck boats.
Oh, wow.
And,
Okay.
which was pretty cool. But yeah, I just remember, and I would just pick everybody's brain. I would just ask them questions and, like a sponge, just trying to soak stuff up.
Right.
But I was petrified. I used to go to every game like so nervous.
I same. When I was an intern,
I still do, like, because
yeah.
you want to make good photos, and you can, and we have bad games.
Yeah.
I for hockey, I shoot a period and look at my stuff. I'm like, man, if I can get 2 good photos out of 400 that I shot for the first period, I'd be lucky.
Oh wow.
Sometimes just things don't happen, and then there's games where there's fights every 5 minutes and tons of goals. So it's just
Got to take the good with the bad.
Yeah, I mean, you just don't know.
Right. Well, we're wrapping up here. I can't believe the time flew by so quick.
Wow, already?
I know, it's
Holy
already
smokes.
it's already 8:40. I know, it goes by wicked quick.
It's just talking, any conversation flies by.
And it's all about you. So, we love to hear your story. Is there anything that you want to say to the viewers watching that, obviously COVID has completely interrupted any way of getting into the sport industry in a normal way? I'm in the sport industry and lost my job because of it. So.
Yeah, a lot of people have.
Right.
My good buddy Brian that works at the Garden, he hasn't worked since March?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Celtics photographer and Bruins photographer, and the house garden photographer. There's nothing going on for him.
Right.
He's so happy that basketball's starting up. I might feel bad.
It's like a family. I miss
it.
It so
It is.
much.
It's one big family.
Yeah, it really is.
It takes a lot. I think it's been a lot of adjustment for people just to even like a new way of life.
Well, it's hard now too because when you go to a game, you don't want to hug. You haven't seen that person. It's like you get to bump elbows with them and stuff, and nobody.
And especially not after seeing them for a while, you definitely
exactly.
Man. All right. Well, I guess that's it. Is just kind of practice.
Yeah, I mean, if someone wants to get involved in the sports industry, it's just practice.
Yeah.
Start small, shoot high school sports or Pop Warner sports, and work your way up. I mean, you can't start from the top. You got to start somewhere.
Right.
What's a camera that you would recommend?
For
starters? You said a Nikon.
I'm a Nikon person. I mean, Nikon, Canon, it's, they're all the same. And now there's, Sony's coming into the game. It's, it's basically, you got to figure out your budget and go from there. When I first started, I had cameras that, were horrible indoors, and they were they were bad low light cameras, but I didn't know,
Right.
and then you just you learn as you go. And I mean, what am I on my 7th, 8th camera now?
Wow.
So
And that's the thing too, like they're freelancers, right? And then you're
Yeah.
independent contractors, so all of their equipment
Yeah.
is they
We're-
buy. They
we're
buy.
buying it ourselves.
100%,
Yeah.
and then they're just getting a check for the photos that they take. So it's an interesting occupation.
It's an expensive one, especially sports photography. I mean, you can be a landscape photographer or whatever, portrait photographer, but it's sports because you have to have a long lens, and you want the fastest cameras, and they come out every 3 or 4 years, and it's tough keeping up.
Wow. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us
Thanks
today.
for having me.
Love your story. Guys, we're going to go to a commercial, and we'll be right back after this.
A drum set beside it, banging that. Any music, that's what they do.
Back. That was super quick. Hello. I'm Brittany Mahan. I'm your host, Doreen. Bob is just such a great guy. He is honestly so inspiring. He can do portraits, he can do sports, but most importantly, he makes work fun. And I just think those people are so valuable, because I definitely have worked with a lot of negative Nancys in the sport industry. It's like any job, a lot of people have been doing it for so many years that they just get burnt out.
And I think it's it's nice that he's friendly, because, like you said, negative Nancy's. Some people aren't, if they've been in the industry longer than you, that they're going to be like, why am I going to help you? Why would I talk to you? Why would I want to give you any input?
And some people are like that, honestly.
Right.
And he is just someone that is very open to helping people and giving you advice. So if any of you out there want to reach out to him, you can DM him on his Instagram. I think his Instagram's Robert DeChiara photography, I believe it is. Does it say photography at the end of it?
No, just my name.
Oh, just his name.
Okay.
Just his name. And you can message him and ask him, that's the number one thing. If you want to get somewhere in life, you have to find someone who's been there, who's lived it, who's experienced it. And then just ask them. The worst they can say is
no.
Yeah.
Not want to help you. But it definitely, you weren't going to get anywhere without asking.
Right. And it's a whole show of their character if they don't want to help you. I mean,
yeah, definitely. But I mean, I've even worked places, even as just a waitress, somebody, you work somewhere and those waitresses that have been there for a long time, they kind of have a smut attitude, that they don't want to, smug attitude, they want to help you, and they're like, you can figure it out your own way, you know?
And I think that's what makes Bob so special, and the confidence in Bob is he will help people below him. He knows you have a long way to go.
Yeah.
You're not going to be as good as me right now,
and he even
that's
said,
totally fine.
after 9 years, he's still learning, and
I love that.
I do love that. I love that, because I think with everything, no matter what it is, you're still learning, and you always have more to learn. There's always more knowledge to obtain.
Right. And those people that, those people that are snobby, and they're kind of I have it all figured out, and I'm the best, and no one can ever be as good as me. Those people don't really make it far.
No. And if you think like that, how can you get further if you're not learning more? I think there's always more that you can, in any, he said photography definitely, because there's so much more to always learn.
Right.
But I think with anything you do, there's always more you can learn.
And he probably has millions of stories from working with the Red Sox, the Bruins, the Pats, the Celtics. I can't even imagine the things that he's witnessed.
I can only imagine. I mean, especially even not even just fights with the players. I'm sure he's witnessed a lot of fights in the stands.
Oh my gosh, there was one time where there's one photographer was telling me that there was a fight that broke out in the stand, and someone threw a drink and it just covered them, and obviously
the photographer,
and obviously the first thing they're worried about is, oh my gosh, let me how's my camera? That's the first thing they're like, is it wet? Oh no.
And I'm like, am my clothes ruined? No.
Right. But honestly, do you want to share the story?
We have a few minutes.
We can bring
Yeah.
We can bring you back in. Yeah, Bob has a story, and I want to hear it. So.
Well, you were talking about somebody spilling beer. I was shooting a preseason game, and there were these 3 girls to the right of me.
Yeah.
And, young kids, they were like up front row seats, and they were all excited and whatever. Bruins were losing like 6-0. And the girl right next to me had her beer, and the Bruins scored a goal, and she jumped up, and it went all over me. And I'm telling you, that stuff gets on your camera, it sticks like glue. I was so
pissed.
How do you handle a situation? What did you say to her?
I wanted to punch her. So she felt really bad, and she moved over. She didn't want to sit next to me, so she moved over like 2 seats. I was livid. I'm like, because I got my computer and all my gear, and that stuff like is so sticky.
Ruin your night too.
Yeah, no, it ruined my night already.
Oh man. Brian said most photo nerds love to talk tech. That and everyone has a style, so not threatening. Cool. Awesome.
I was just reading.
Oh, okay. Yeah, guys. So next week, actually, let's give us some rundown. So if you want to catch this episode later or any of our episodes that you missed, they're all on our website at beautifulbroken.tv. If you scroll up a little bit, you can go to our live shows. They should be a little bit down right there. You just click on live show, and all the episodes that you want to watch will all be there. Next week, we do have our love match. We have Samantha Ahern as our bachelorette. I will be posting all this week. So, gentlemen, if you are single or if you know anyone single and you're interested in her and being on the show and being a bachelor that she gets to choose from, DM us, because I'm looking for some bachelors out there to match with my good friend Samantha. Next week actually is the last episode of 2020, and then we're going to take a 2-week break, and then we'll come back in the new year. So let's pray that 2021 has something better for us than 2020 did.
And see you next year.
See you next week.
But
All right, bye guys.
Bye.